So I wanted to share with you guys a message tonight titled Celestial Signs, Today's Lunar Eclipse, Purim and the Blood Moon. I want to thank you for joining me on this special, it was going to be a live stream, but couldn't get had some audio problems, so we'll just post this after the fact. And you can probably hear the dog drinking his bowl of water there. Anyway, thank you for joining me. As we gather, as you witness this fascinating celestial event with me here, the lunar eclipse is happening tonight about 2 a.m. Central Time. It's a perfect opportunity to explore its significance and how it connects with the festival of Purim and the intriguing concept of a blood moon. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because the dog just decided to go drink while I'm doing this. It is kind of funny, right? You gotta admit. Can't always control those things. But the lunar eclipse is something that, it's foreordained. God set the planets and the celestial bodies in rotation, in orbit from creation. And everything was wound up like a clock. And he knew exactly what was going to happen and how he had it timed out. I don't understand it, but the Bible says the sun, the moon, the stars are for tracking time and seasons and days. So there is something to it. Does it mean it's the end of the world? No. But I think it's a time to appreciate God's creation and the fascinating way that He designed it. If the moon were just a little bigger, it, you know, it, it, it wouldn't cause this full solar eclipse when the moon went in front of the sun. And if the moon just phased out, was on a different rotation schedule, it would never block out the sun. If the water on the ice caps sank instead of floated, you know how ice expands whenever it becomes crystal and ice, and so therefore it floats because it's lighter in weight. If water did not float, I don't think we would have life on this planet. A lot of people agree with that in the scientific community, but it is miraculous how many things just line up. They say the moon is, I believe it was that the sun is 400 times farther away than the moon is from the earth, and the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, and yet they are the exact same size from our perspective to our eye to perfectly cover each other up when one goes in front of the other. Nevertheless, let's talk about this lunar eclipse, this blood moon, this lunar eclipse that's happening tonight. What makes this even more special is its timing with the Jewish festival of Purim. It's a significant Jewish festival. It goes all the way back to the Jewish people from Haman. Commemorates Haman, who was an advisor to the Persian king Ahasuerus. Traditionally, it's a time of joy and festivity marked by the reading of the book of Esther, the giving of gifts, and charity. The themes of hidden revelations and dramatic turnarounds in the Purim story echo with the sudden and striking appearance of the lunar eclipse. Let's talk about the blood moon for a second. During a lunar eclipse, sunlight passing through the Earth's atmosphere gives the moon a reddish color, often referred to as a blood moon. This term has captured the imagination, of course, of many over the years, particularly because of its biblical associations with prophecies and significant events. In the Bible, the blood moon is mentioned in the book of Joel, the book of Acts, and the book of Revelation, and it often symbolizes foreboding events and the fulfillment of prophecy. For example, the Bible says the sun will be turned to darkness and the moon will turn to blood before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Now, does it mean that the blood is going to be dripping like blood? It will turn into literal blood? No, it's going to turn a red color. So that, that's the way we take that, as a, not literally, but as a color. Astronomically speaking, a blood moon is a natural phenomenon, but culturally and spiritually, it resonates with a much deeper meaning. For many, these celestial events are seen as signs marking important spiritual moments or reflections on our place in the universe. Let's look at more connections with the festival of Purim. The concurrence of the lunar eclipse with Purim this year invites us to reflect on the themes of deliverance and transformation found in the Purim story. Think about our situation in the world today. A lot of turmoil, a lot of people hating each other, a lot of unknowns. How in the world are we going to be delivered out of all this turmoil? But just as the moon is overshadowed by the earth's shadow, only to re-emerge with a dramatic blood red hue, the story of Esther, if we turn back to the story of Esther in the Bible and you read that, it reveals a dramatic turn from despair, where Esther thought her and all her people were going to be slaughtered because of the king's law, and it turns from despair to celebration because Esther created for her time. She fasted and prayed, and she went to the king to stand up for her people, to speak on behalf of her people, and she saved the lives of many. And so this also represents a time of hiddenness where the king didn't even know Esther was a Jew, and it was revealed. Wow. The one that the king chose was one of the ones that was going to be killed. And now he couldn't let that happen. So let's take a moment for personal reflection. How often do we find ourselves in situations where we feel overshadowed or in darkness? And how often do we emerge from these challenges transformed? I know I could say for myself, I'm going through a challenging time. I'm worried every day, certain things that are going on, and I just don't know how things are going to pan out. I have to have faith, though. I know God's always come through for me in the past. I have to keep reminding myself. I remind other people that God is taking care of me. He's going to see me through. He's got to be doing something big. So perhaps as we have challenges, that there is a new perspective. Perhaps we can get a new, renewed spirit as we go through these dark periods. How about the beauty of the celestial events? Let's reflect on that for a second. Celestial events like today's eclipse serve as a powerful metaphor for life experiences. They remind us of the cycles of crisis and renewal, much like the stories celebrating that we celebrate during Purim, if you celebrate that, right? And so as we watch, if you watch tonight, or if you watch maybe some of the playback videos, you'll see people recorded of the moon, the blood red color changing. As you see the moon pass through the earth's shadow and it glowing with a reddish hue tonight, let it be a reminder of the resilience, the renewal, and the joy that follows darkness. Remember that day Jesus was crucified? That was a dark day. I believe they even had the sun was blotted out that day. They said that the sun was blotted out for several hours. It was a dark day, a hopeless day for just a moment. But what was on the other side of the crucifixion? What was on the other side of death and despair? It was the resurrection. So whether you see it as a scientific phenomenon or you see it as a sign with deeper spiritual meaning, there's no denying the beauty and the awe that such events inspire. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight, whether you're here for astronomical spectacle that it is, or spiritual significance, or just to enjoy a unique experience. I want to encourage you to look up, appreciate the remarkable creation that God has given us. The Bible says man's eyes are never satisfied. So we got to control our eyes, right? Look at God's creation. Don't use your eyes for evil purposes, right? But appreciate the remarkable moments of seeing God's creation. Happy Purim, clear skies to all. Job 32 out.